In this video, you will learn the 7 truths of federal contracting with Eileen Kent.
The 7 truths about federal contracting. Now, what I'm going to be talking to you about today is something I'm incredibly passionate about. I've been training and teaching people, probably about 10,000 over the last 20 years. I've walked the halls of federal buildings, agencies, the Pentagon. I've walked in the halls of Atlanta and in Dallas and LA and San Francisco. I've helped well over 330 companies with their federal sales action plans. And I really wanted to come here today because I know you had a lot of great speakers that talked to you about how to kind of pump up your business and get things going. And you've been hearing through the grapevine, gee, the federal government opportunity is absolutely huge for woman-owned businesses, disadvantaged businesses, minority-owned businesses, veterans, service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. It's ripe for those of you to capture opportunities. And I've found in the last year or two, there's a lot of new players that have entered the market, and they're putting out there a lot of material that talks about the billions and billions of dollars that you could win overnight. And I want to tell you that the federal government wants to work with the best in the business that offers products and services at a really reasonable rate. And that's going to take some time and energy on each of our parts to be able to go build our federal opportunities. So today, I wanted to kind of cut through some of the things you might have been told in the marketplace and what is actually the truth in the marketplace from a federal woman-owned business, someone who's walked the halls just like you're about to embark upon. Maybe some of you have already done some of this. So we're going to cover the 7 truths and my heart. This is my heart to you. And I'm hoping to leave some extra room in the end, because if I ruffle any feathers or I challenge you on what you're thinking, or maybe you experience the complete opposite, I'm hoping that you share your experience or ask a question that might be directed toward what I'm going to be talking about today. So I invite you to be interactive with me, because I think today is about empowerment and passion and caring and doing the right thing. And these 7 truths to me is about telling my sisters and all my friends selling to the feds what's really happening in the marketplace. So the first thing I just would like to say is it's going to be a bumpy ride. Selling to the federal government is not easy, and they made it not easy for a reason. Can you imagine being someone in a role inside the government that needs to provide or present a product or service to the taxpayer, and they need help? They need help from a company like ours, right? And maybe they have a budget of $1 million. Well, they're not going to just hand $1 million to just anyone. They need to show in their file that this company not only is qualified, they're proven to be qualified. They've been well recommended. They have experiences and certifications and clearances to do the work that they're handing this $1 million over to. And so that when that vendor does a really good job, it reflects positively on them. So they're going to make us jump hoops to give us our first contract. So I'm hoping some of you that have been there, done that for a while is looking around the room going, yep, that's right. I had to earn my place. So today I'm going to cover some of those realities. The first reality, which is probably the one when I heard it for the first time. See, when I was asked to sell to the federal government at the company I was working for, it was right after 9/11. I was helping a furniture rental company build their federal book of business. We had just gotten our first contract vehicle, and the owner said, Eileen, I want you to go on the Lewis and Clark expedition. You're going to sell to the feds. And I started traveling to LA, San Francisco, San Diego, Dallas, Atlanta, DC, Chicago, then back around again. 7 out of 8 weeks. I was on the road for a straight year. But I landed Homeland Security's very first offices. Okay, it took me a year. It was month 13. And I took a class by a guru in DC. His name was Richard White. He owned a company called Fed Market. And I went to one of his trainings, which was doing business with Homeland Security. Nobody knew anything about Homeland Security at the time. And there was just like a room like you're in, about 150 people. And he was in the front saying, it's going to take you guys a year. And I had a heart attack because I just took this position and I was living off commission. And I said, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to live for a year if I don't get business right away. And we're able to deliver in 2 business days. I'm used to closing deals quickly. And you know what? It was true. It took me a year of sheer cold calling, reaching out to people, asking around, being referred, and pushing, and getting my name out there, doing proposals, walking halls, designs, writing proposals. It took me a year walking the halls. And when someone tells you in this marketplace that it takes days to do business with the federal government, well, I'll tell you it takes days, 365 to 740, 1 to 2 years to get your first strong, decent contract. Now, if you're a company that sells products, let's say, for example, you sell ice and you're in the Southeast region. Well, eventually there's going to be a hurricane and FEMA's going to come in and set up an office and need some ice. So if they need ice from you and you're a local vendor, you might be able to sell some ice to them in days. So in a situation where there's an emergency or an urgency, or you got lucky and someone called you because they needed a particular component and you're the only vendor who carries it, you got lucky. It's like being the first one in Vegas. Ever go to Vegas and you throw your money down on the table? The first time you did it, you probably won a little bit. You know, it's beginner's luck when you actually win a couple of deals. But I'm talking long-term, strong, big contracts. I'm talking about in the IT world, if you're selling services, it's going to take you a year or two to establish yourself as a company that they're going to trust. And also, you're going to have to unseat that incumbent. So if they've already signed a contract with an incumbent, they're kind of married to them for a while. So you have to talk to them and get them to talk to you and meet with you quietly under the radar while they're working with the prime, and they share with you why they're not happy. And when a new opportunity comes up, they might give you a shot at it. So they might have to divorce the other vendor before they work with you if you're in services. So in this business, you need to prepare yourself, your heart, and your team for this to take at least a year or two to go after this business. And by the way, if anybody tells you that they guarantee you a certain amount of business, nobody can do that. No one can guarantee what that federal customer is going to do, whether or not they're going to choose you. Again, I'm leaning on some of my experience in the room. Look around the room and experienced people. You tell your people sitting next to you, there's no guarantees in this business. Even if a customer tells you that you're going to be the vendor that they want, something might happen where the buyer chooses someone else, or there might be a box that wasn't checked or a T that wasn't crossed. No one can guarantee. 12 to 24 months, no guarantees. A lot of people say to me, because I've been selling to the feds for quite a while in many different areas and many different angles, and I build federal sales action plans for companies that go after the agencies. And some people say, how much time should I spend actually placing calls, sending emails, getting on LinkedIn, performing capabilities briefings? And I'm going to give you what my average amount of time is. It's going to take 50 to 60 solid selling hours to get your first 10 to 20 appointments. Not even a guaranteed deal. I'm talking the ability to talk to the small business officer who might introduce you to the project team, and then you can do a capabilities briefing, but you need someone up against it making calls 50 to 60 hours before you can even break through getting some decent appointments. So if you spend 2 hours a week, it's going to take 6 months. If you spend 10 hours a week, it's going to take 6 weeks to get solid appointments, which might shake out an opportunity, which might come out in the next 6 months. So that's why I say, if you're going to go after this business and you're a sole owner of your company trying to sell to the federal government, you might want to rethink that a little bit, because you might need to hire a full-time salesperson, or at least delegate 50% of your time selling, not writing proposals, selling, making sales calls. The other thing I want to share with you, because I've been looking at the data, I do data dips in the contracts that are out there for my clients. And I'm able to see how many actual bids they're receiving on these opportunities. And you can see they're $1 million opportunities, 100 grand, $10,000, $50,000, $50 million. And the average number of bids that they get, three bids. That's it. So if you're watching public bid sites like sam.gov and others, many times those bids are going to get a lot of bids. But once those bids are awarded, or those contract vehicles are awarded, only those couple of vendors have to bid on subtasks, or they do modifications or extensions, or they exercise options. So it's 1 to 3 bids that I see in the data, which tells me it's a relationship sale. So there are different ways that they can buy from you. They can do a sole source with you, which means they can award you a direct contract if it's under $10,000. There's something called the micro purchase threshold. They can buy from anybody 10,000 or below. Now that used to be 2,500 and it used to be 3,000. But once Amazon entered the market, remember 2019, they announced that in DC, they're putting that second headquarters. Smart. Amazon's going straight after government business. And they were able to find a way to lobby the government to raise that micro purchase threshold to 10 grand. They can sole source up to 10 grand. Now, there's another little number you need to know, which is 250,000. It's called simplified acquisitions. And without any contract in place, they can get 3 open market bids and be able to award up to $250,000. That used to be 150,000. They raised it to 250,000 in 2019. But then there are other ways that they can do business. There's contract vehicles out there, like the GSA schedule. The GSA schedule is a negotiated contract with the federal government on your prices, okay? And if you have services with your hourly rates and you have an opportunity, all they need to get are 3 written bids from 3 similar companies to award a contract. And that could be 14 days, as quick as 14 days. If it's a product, they can immediately click and buy from the GSA website up to $25,000 without competition. But they tend to like to get 3 bids anyway for the files. But you don't see a lot of bids that have 50, 100 contracts or bids received. 1 to 3 is the average. The next truth, bids are written. I want you to hold this one in your heart. Bids are written with someone in mind. That's painful to hear, but it's the truth. Someone was there 6 months to a year before, creating that list of needs, designing that new website, showing them capabilities, maybe a vendor who was already there for the last 5 years. Maybe they're courting another vendor and they want to unseat the current vendor, but they've been talking to someone. So every time you see a public bid, what I want you to do is dive into the past performance requirements. Read the past performance requirements. And if they say something like, you must present similar size and scope, past performance in the last 2 years at this agency, at this location, they're planning to give that to the incumbent. Ouch. Take a look at the names of the documents that are attachments on the bids that are there. Recently, I was looking at a post under sam.gov, and it was for one of my clients, and we pulled out the solicitation and we started to look at the attachments on what the needs were, and they named one of the attachments the incumbent's name. Whoops, it happens. Assume they have someone in mind if you haven't been already in there. The reason why I want you to know this is so that you stop writing blind bids all day long, that they've already have someone in mind. Why would you spend all this time and energy writing a competitive bid when you think it's perfect for us when somebody else already wrote those specs? When I was in the furniture industry, for example, if they had already a list of furniture on there, I could tell by the description of the furniture which vendor they plan to use. That's how good you have to be about looking for the tells in the solicitation itself. Also, there's something that you can do at sam.gov that they have current contract data. So you can even look at those keywords in the contract data and see who's been doing that kind of work at that agency, and you can predict the current incumbent. Now, why would you want to do that? As a small woman-owned business, maybe minority, 8A, hub zone, service disabled vet, maybe you can approach the incumbent and say, hey, you want to partner on that? So it really makes sense to do your homework before you write a bid. Say you have a winner in mind. Now, this little piece of advice, truth number 5, is for the incumbents. Don't assume that bad boy's yours, because they might be courting 2 or 3 other vendors because they want to hedge their bets. Maybe they're kind of sick of you and they want to get rid of you. That's my hope when we're trying to go in and get it, right? But they're going to be talking to other vendors when that bid comes up to see who else is out there. I'm not just talking about market research. They brought someone in, told them what the situation was, maybe that they want to unseat the incumbent, and to give them some pointers on some areas where they're looking for expertise or problem solving or a solution. When I was going after Homeland Security, when I was first selling to the feds, I was going up against the largest competitor, the Kleenex of our industry, the name brand. In fact, the name brand had just delivered to TSA 400 orders. And now I was up against them trying to do the headquarters of Homeland Security. What happened is TSA, the customer, was not happy with the current vendor, and they walked me into the headquarters of Homeland and said, work with Eileen. And the people at Homeland Security said, do you have any past performance? At that time, I didn't. And I said, I don't. But I did help Boeing move from Seattle to Chicago. And they said, okay. When the bid came out, I looked at the past performance and it said, you must have past performance with the federal government or similar size and scope with the name brand prime. That was my in. They cracked open the door for me, and I was able to come in with my past performance that was commercial and steal that business from the incumbent because they knew about me and they opened up that gate just enough for me to slip in. So incumbents, watch out. They are meeting with 2 or 3 others to hedge their bets if they either want to unseat you or at least consider your pricing. Truth number 6. This is one I hear all the time. The government is the largest customer. No, it's not. The government is not one customer. When you talk to a contracting officer and they say something like, well, you know, the government, blah, 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 blah. No. Change that to I. People use that for weight to get you to come in. The government isn't one customer. The government's made up of at least 2 to 3 million federal employees, dozens of departments, hundreds of offices, thousands of locations, the VA alone, all the different hospitals, right? And there's people inside those hospitals that make decisions and make purchases. So I look at the government as a category of customers, not one customer. And you're going to have to uncover not only every regional office, every local office, but the people inside those offices who make decisions about what you do. So what I want to say to you for this is you need to start considering micro focusing your efforts on the agencies that buy what you sell, the people within the agencies that buy with what you sell within the regions that you're located in. Micro focus your efforts because they're not one customer, they're millions. And then truth number 7, relationships matter. Relationships are everything in this business. Writing a blind bid will not win you the $1 million contract. You might win a contract vehicle. That means an IDIQ of some sort where you're able to do business with that agency, but every single task, the actual work, they need to know you before they hand work over to you because they're going to get graded on the quality of work that you do. So those relationships and building them is critically important. So I want to cover a little bonus material for you because as you ask questions, it might fall back on this. So I'm going to talk a little bonus information that I do in my federal sales game, how to play to win. I like to talk about the players. So you have people that are in contracting, the contracting officer, the CO or KO. They're nicknamed the KO when the commanding officer on base is the CO. So CO or KO are the contracting specialist. They're responsible for making sure that fair and open competition occurs, that they followed the federal acquisition regulation to the letter, and they're able to show in the file that they invited the right vendors. And if they did it based on a sole source or a unique source, that they're able to justify why they sole sourced it only to one company. Okay, so they're all about making sure the rules are followed. And then if they sole source or they provide a unique source, they can justify why they did it. The contracting officer, the CO or the KO, has a warrant. And this warrant is not a warrant for our arrest. It's a warrant that says how much money they're able to spend on behalf of the federal government. So that's the person who signs the contract and awards the contract to you. Each and every one of these contracting officers has protocols and procedures they like to follow that's specific to their location and their agency. It will come from the FAR originally, but it will also come from experience, past people that worked at their offices, the training that they got. Some contracting officers prefer to buy things one way. Maybe they like GSA schedules, while another contracting officer likes to use their internal IDIQs. Some like to use set-asides. Others like to put it out on SAM. They all have their ways of doing business, and why you want to have a relationship with them is to be able to follow their protocol, learn, be a sponge, understand the way that one contracting officer buys what you sell. Then there's the small business officer that's located at your local business. I bet there's a couple in the room here. So maybe a couple of you can raise your hands. You might be a small business liaison for an agency, or you might be a small business liaison for a prime contractor. Their job is to be able to tell the SBA that they're performing a good faith effort. They're doing their best to introduce small businesses into their agencies. So they're going to make sure that you're filling out their paperwork, that you're properly registered in sam.gov, which is the public website. They're going to take a look at what your capabilities are, and they're going to determine whether or not what you do is needed at their agency. And hopefully, using your own research, you'll be able to tell them, hey, I understand that these 3 vendors are working at your agency with these 3 contracting officers on these 3 contract vehicles. And they're coming to an end soon, and I want to meet a couple people before it comes out again. So if you sit down with those small business specialists and you kind of have already done your homework, it's going to help them direct you in, or you're going to be able to go in and go after the most important customer on this list, who really is the person that influences the buy, the end user. The end user can't sign a contract and award you a contract, but they're going to list every single one of the specifications that they want. And if you're there early enough, and according to FAR 15.201, They are encouraged to talk to industry about innovation. So if you're introducing them to new innovations and they want to try you, they're going to write down the specifications of what they want. But then when they give it to the contracting team, their hands are off of it until the bids come in and they're on the evaluation committee. So that end user is pivotal for you on whether or not you're going to get business at that agency. The stakeholder of the agency is usually the base commander, the regional director, someone that isn't necessarily part of the project, but they care about the mission of the agency. So they're not going to be able to push you into their agency. It's not a top-down sale. It's talking to end users and getting to know them. So if you're an engineering company, you need to talk to the engineers at the agency. If you're an IT company, you need to talk to program and project managers that care about cybersecurity. If you're a medical supplies person, you need to talk to the logistics teams at the VA. Those are the people that are going to really push whether or not they want you and want to get rid of the incumbent, or they want to hedge their bets and give you a shot at one or two opportunities coming down the pipeline. So I wanted to be able to leave this slide up here as you ask questions, but the 7 truths takes a year or more to get your big deal, 50 to 60 hours to get your first 10 to 15 conversations. They already have a bidder in mind. The government isn't one customer, it's a group of customers. They hedge their bets, and relationships matter. So now what I'd like to do is kind of throw it back to Tracy and anybody in the room who would like to now, and I'm going to just not share anymore and just bring up my headshot here. And I'm going to just close out my share here and just have a chat with you. So we have some time now. We've got a solid 15 minutes to throw some questions my way. Let me see. Use one word to describe each quarter of the year as a federal contractor. For example, Q4, networking season. Okay, so Q1 is October 1st, which would be 2021, October 1st, December 31st. That time is when they're kind of cleaning up in the beginning of October. They're cleaning up their end of year stuff. But for me, Q1 is important because that's where I can start talking to them about what's coming in the year, because they're not in busy buying season. They're kind of getting paperwork together for the projects that are coming in the next year. So for example, if you're in construction, you're not going to be doing construction projects in the fall. Typically, you're going to be doing them in the spring and beyond. So this is a perfect time to sit down with the project teams and talk to them about some of the infrastructure stuff that they've got coming on the docket. And can you do capabilities briefings? And can you, pick their brain about questions that you might have? I say Q1 is a great time to be in deep relationship building time. Now, Q2 is January 1st to March 31st. So Q2 is when they're starting to really get those budgets together, get those specs together for bigger type projects that are happening. So Q2 is kind of ramping up. Hey, do you need a needs analysis? Hey, do you need to sit down and talk about projects and get an idea of what your budget's going to be or what kind of experts you're going to need? Are you troubleshooting things? Are you considering exercising options with the current vendor that you have? Are you thinking of throwing a couple people off and, might be considering some new people? So we're going to start talking more deeper dive things in Q2. Q3 is what I call wish list time. In the construction world, Q3 is projects are actually happening at that point. Bids are going out in Q2, late Q3. Projects are starting to happen Q3 for construction, IT and supplies and stuff. This is a time in Q3 to start talking to your buyers about wish list proposals. Q3 is when you can say, hey, I've got this training that I want to give you. And they tell you that they don't have a budget this year for it. You go, well, let me put together a spec for you. And if any last minute money comes available to you, you can throw it my way. Q4, they're slammed. Right now, they're spending their money. They're exercising options. They're awarding contracts with mods with their current incumbents. And if they happen to have leftover money that comes, that's when the wish list items start to happen. And I got to tell you, September 1st happens. If you start getting calls for proposals and someone gives you a list of items, I can almost guarantee you're being asked to provide a file filler, loser 2 or loser 3 bit, unless that list was yours and that was your wish list. So hopefully the Q1 through 4, I know you wanted it in 1 word or less, but that's my basic calendar when I'm looking at, you don't have wish list proposals or you're not waiting for something to come out toward you now for the end of the year, you should be strategizing for 2022, starting October 1st, right now. You subcontract with a prime. Does this shorten the time it takes to contract success? Great question. It depends. It depends on what type of business you are in and what your background is. But I can give you a little piece of advice to shorten the time frame. So many small businesses go from prime to prime to prime to the small business officer. They go to their events, they register at their site, they look at their procurement stuff. That's not what I want you to do. What I want you to do is pick out the primes that are hanging out in the agencies that you're hanging out in. So those might be other small businesses that you never heard of before. So you need to do your homework on who they are, okay? The second thing you're gonna do is start calling on those agencies to find out which one of the primes are doing a really good job, because those are the primes you wanna team with. And then when you start sitting down with those primes, you're gonna say, listen, I'm not coming here looking for a handout from you to subcontract. I've been calling on your agencies and I know who your customers are, and they're saying really good things about you, but they're also talking to me about X training, this supply, that. And what I'd like to do is, since you already have a contract vehicle, I'd like to bring the business to you and run it through you first. Now you have their attention. They realize you get it. They're not looking for vendors that are trying to get a piece of their business. They're looking for vendors that are going to bring them business. So you want to speed up the relationship of subcontracting, walk in with a piece of business or an introduction to someone inside the government that you think would be a good teaming opportunity for you, and you're going to get their attention very quickly. Okay, let's see. Environmental consulting remediation. Oh, someone was just asking about environmental consulting. I love environmental consulting, and one of my long-term clients is an environmental consultant, woman-owned small business as well. And subcontracting, what they do is exactly what I'm talking to you about. They do their homework, they know their clients, they're focused on certain agencies, and they're only approaching teaming partners that are already in the agencies they're in. They're interviewing the federal government on how good of a vendor they are. That's important. And then approaching them saying, I've done my homework about you, and I've talked to your clients about you, and I have some opportunities that I might be bringing to you. So you need to be very, very, very focused on your teaming partnerships and your subcontracting. And I also am going to bring something to you that is one of my pieces of advice that I bring to any business when they look at teaming with someone. They need you to date them for a while. Do you know what I mean? Go to a networking event with them, like you are here together today. I want you to see what their clients are saying about them. I want you to invite them to a capabilities briefing and see how they behave before you sign a teaming agreement. And here's why. One time I was working for a very large business, and we were capturing $65 million in 18 months in the business that we were in. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but I had my eye on an 8A company I wanted to do business with. And we had 3,000 people in our company that could work with this 8A as a prime for us. And we were watching them, and we could see that they were doing a lot of business, and they were terrific. And then we went to dinner with them at a networking event, and they didn't behave in the manner of a professional way that we would want to behave in. So we decided it was better to find a different teaming partner. I've taken other teaming partners with me to situations and opportunities, and they've taken the business from me. So I would say, and this is for you, small businesses who are terrific, don't sign up for a mentor overnight, because you're married to one and you're stuck with them, and it's hard to divorce them. So I want you to network and see how they behave and how they work with you. Are they just using you for a pass-through or for a name on a slide, or are you actually going to pass business to each other? So I want you to, on both sides, large and small businesses, I want you to be super picky. If you're in a bullpen of a whole bunch of small businesses working with Booz Allen or Khaki or a large, let's say Turner Construction or Clark Construction, or think of the large primes in your backyard, and you're with a whole group of people. Have they really given you business, or are they using your name for a slide again, and they haven't given you a piece? It's time to, number one, start calling on the government yourself and bring these people business and see how differently they behave. And also, I want you to see if you can really help each other build business. Do tests before you bring them into the most important deals that you have going. Test your clients before you sign on the dotted line, large and small businesses. Anybody else have questions? Bring them to the chat or come to the microphone. I don't know how the room is working, but I really would love. Oh, hi, LaTanya. You have a question? How are you?
Oh, Eileen, how are you?
Good. You look like such a pro. Look at you. Looking fine.
Well, I'm a Catalyst member, so I got to bring my A game.
Right. You look awesome.
Thank you so much. And hello, ladies. But can we just say this has been an incredible session? As usual, the Catalyst always brings the best. But wow, Eileen, I tell you, just given these last couple of moments that you shared are like, man, especially about dating, and kind of checking them out first. Oh my gosh, you were so spot on with that. And it's so interesting that you brought up the portion about, the social skills at dinner. I'm with you on that one, because I have gone, and seen people just totally take the entire bottle of wine, and everybody had their own bottle and they enjoyed it. And you could tell by the end of the evening. But my question,
and the end of the evening, it's really upsetting though that the hors d'oeuvres haven't even been passed yet, and the person's fallen over. It's like they can't even hold their liquor. I didn't have it, but you can't even hold it. So I just say really watch their behavior in a networking event, especially, because then you'll know if you're working with top-notch people or not, if they're there for business.
Right. And so my question is, how do you recommend that, say, for example, once you've teamed with an organization or group or individual, and then things start to happen that you didn't really expect, so how do you deal with some of those, oh my gosh, we're already married. I think that's the analogy you use. And, now that we're together, how can we get through this? Because sometimes it's just like, oh my God, what have we done?
I think one of the biggest pieces of advice I have for you, LaTanya, is not to sign any exclusives. Now, when you were talking about mentor protege, you're kind of stuck with that prime. So I don't want you to handle, that's a marriage. But when you're teaming partner, I would do it based on the project and then sign everybody up around the project. Now, if you're not the prime, LaTanya, and someone brings you in as a sub, you can't sell around them and start sneaking stuff behind their back. You keep bringing it back to the prime, and they'll keep taking care of you. You can sell to other agencies, but don't mess around with the one that they brought you in on. And the same goes the other way around. It's a gentleman's agreement. I hate to be sexist like that, but it's an agreement that once you sign and you're working on a project together in an agency, the clients, for example, clients tend to come to us as subs. You know, I like your price better than theirs. I don't want their markup anymore. I want to work. You go, hold on. I got to talk to the prime. And if the prime gives you blessings, then you're okay. But you got to be really sensitive, because the last thing you want is one prime to be mad at you and to tell other people this person sells around. So, and that's the same thing you expect from your people. So let me give you a quick example. I had an opportunity in Sault Ste. Marie to work on a green roof. Okay. This green roof in Sault Ste. Marie, it's cold up there. It was the first green roof in America. And it was the first successful one, but it was slipping off the roof. It was slipping, right? And GSA is like, oh no, it's custom border protection up there. And they were so proud of it, but it was slipping. Now, our project manager that we had, she did her dissertation on that roof. Her teacher built that roof, and she was our green roof expert. So GSA's Public Building Services wanted to use her, right, to fix this thing. But they couldn't use us as the prime. They had 3 IDIQ holders in Michigan that they would say they're running it through them. So the project manager said, Eileen, go introduce yourselves to these 3 vendors who have the bridge. And so I talked to each of the 3. And this, Eileen, are you talking to the other 2? And I said, yes, I am. And they said, are you giving them the same price? And I said, yes, I am. So then they knew I was giving the same price to all 3, and they figured out their own markup. But that bad boy was mine, right? So it's being open and truthful and fair as much as you can, LaTanya, when you're working, and expect it out of your own vendors too.
Excellent. Thank you, Eileen.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Eileen.
Okay,
I'm going to see, do we have any questions in the live audience? Anybody have a question for Eileen?
What websites do you use the most when you're looking for posted RFPs?
Great question. There's a couple. Of course, you've got sam.gov, which is posted RFPs. You've got FedConnect, you've got DIBS, you've got all these areas. Of course, if you're on GSA schedule, you can use eBuy. But I say have a really strong bid no bid process before you get suckered into, invited into writing an opportunity bid to send in. Okay. I use those public bid sites to peel names from those solicitations for next time, unless I knew it was coming and I knew exactly what was going on.
Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you soon.